Father God, we thank you for today that we have a chance to come to study your words and a lot of things about your church. Help all of us to learn with wisdom from you, with understanding, so we can use it for your kingdom and for your people. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Okay, today is week 5, chapter 9. Sorry, not week 5, week 9 now. Chapter 9 is servant leadership. Now, this is something new compared to the rest of the world. When we talk about leadership, we talk about someone in front, someone who on top, someone who more power, or someone who decide for everything. But at a Christian leadership is different. We learn from Jesus. And Jesus teaches us to lead by serving. So what that mean? Jesus showed example on his last week in this world, how he washed his disciples' feet. And this job is for slave. Nobody do this job, only slave do it. In Israel, in that time, people just have sandal. When they go to different houses, before they get to the house, they will have to wash their feet first. They take their sandal off and wash their feet. In regular house, you wash your own feet. But in some rich houses, they have slave to wash your head or wash your feet. So that is the job of the slave. Normally do that. If you are equal, you don't do that. So anyone who want to wash your feet have to be very low. And you treat them as slave. But Jesus did wash his disciples' feet. Peter told Jesus, no, don't wash my feet. You are my master. Jesus said, I have to set an example for you. The master is led by serving, by humility. And this is the example of Christian leadership, though. Look at Jesus, how Jesus, God, King, Savior, come to wash our feet and even die for us. And this is the example of leadership. Jesus said that the good shepherd died for his flock, for his sheep, to protect them. So now this is an example for us. All this idea come from many scholars in the past. By looking at what Jesus did, they say that this is something different from the rest of the world. And we have to learn how to do it. We already sum up that servant leadership is someone who leads by good example, by serving, by helping, and showing the people that you want to help them because you love them. So this is the unique leadership. In most cultures, leaders are the ones who on top, who are the most strongest and can beat up everyone who want to challenge them. That's why they become leader. We learn from the animal kingdom. The strongest is the leader. But when the leader getting older, and the younger one will challenge him. If the younger one win the challenging, the younger one become a new leader. The old one just fade away and die. So this is the animal kingdom. But you know that in secular society, outside the church, all people do the same thing. The strongest going to be leader, the smartest, the best, going to be leader and on top. In the old day, you see that all the strongest men who win all the challenging become the king. So the king have to be the strongest, the best fighter. If you are not good enough, people challenge you and take over your position. It's just like the animal kingdom. And when you could become leader, because you're the strongest, you get everything you want. And everyone afraid of you. They follow you not because they love you, but they're afraid of you. And you control them by fear. That is the regular, secular society in this world. But at a Christian leadership, we learn from Jesus that we don't going to do that. How to be humble, how to serve by good example. And now you know that the business world come to learn from the Bible too. They found out that if we try to change something about leadership in business, they found a lot more success. Why? Because most of the people want to work with the leader who humble, who care for them, and who love them. Now the business world try to copy what Jesus teach us from the church. And why we that in the Christian society try to copy business. So that is something going around. The business try to copy us now because they found out that the Christian way or the biblical way is the best. But a lot of churches try to copy business. How we copy business? Well, now they don't call the leader of the church pastor anymore. They call CEO, or they call chief executive pastor. Copy from business. Business is CEO, chief executive officer. But now they call themselves chief executive pastor or minister. Why you need to be like business? Well, to show off that I'm the top. I'm the biggest guy in church. Everyone follow me. Why the business world themselves try to copy from the church, from Christian Bible? Humility, the best example. They found out that this kind of leadership make people love them and make the whole team want to serve them, work with them as a team. Now we learn a lot more about the success of our business. It's not about you know the most, or you the strongest, or you have the most resources, but your team love one another. Your team work together and sacrifice for the success of the whole team. The whole team think the same way. But how can that be? Well, we start with leadership. Now, what is the characteristic of servant leadership? Now, the Bible even used the word servant leadership. Now, they sum up 10 qualities that we can learn. First thing of this quality that we need to develop or have is listening. Mean that you practice how to listen very well, carefully. When listening doesn't mean that you stop talking. Stop talking is still not listening. And listening is still not enough. You need to be, they call active listening. Mean that you really try to understand people who talk with you. Not just hear them, but understand them. What the difference between hearing and understanding? Hearing means that people ask you, you hear me, you hear me? You say, yes, I hear you, I hear you. It's just you heard them what they say, but to understand them is a different story. Understand them means that you can understand the clue, the intention, the purpose, why they say that. You interpret what they say to be a correct way. That means that you actively listening. You understand them, you interpret what they try to tell you, and you know exactly what they mean. That means listening. Empathy. The second quality of the servant leadership or the successful one that we need to learn is empathy. Now, I always say that empathy and sympathy are not the same thing. You always hear people say, I have sympathy on you, mean that, or they feel sorry for what we lost or what happened to us. They call sympathy. But empathy is not what you say, but you feel. People who say that they're sorry, they might not feel anything at all. They just say sorry to be polite and to show that they care, that you hurt, but they don't feel your feeling. But empathy is a step inside. You feel the hurt of other people. You hurt with them. It's not joking. It's not just saying, but you feel it inside you that you hurt with them. At what Jesus said that you laugh with the one who laughed and you cry with the one who cried. Jesus did not teach us how to act or how to pretend, but Jesus talked about empathy. You need to feel the feeling of other people. You feel that they hurt. You feel that they're happy. You feel that they're sad. And you feel, not just feel, you share their feeling. That's another step. When they're sad, you're sad with them. When they laugh, you're happy with them. Sincerely feel that thing. So it's a step deeper. Well, not everyone have this. We need to develop it. We need to learn it. You're not born with it. We learn how to feel other people feeling, to share what they feel inside you. It comes from inside that you care. Now, the third thing is healing. We need to learn the skill of healing, what that means. We find a way to help people, support people who are hurt, people who have problems. We offer them help, and we have resources to help them. So this is like what Jesus said, that you are the shepherd. You heal the sick sheep. You put balm on, you take care for the hurt and help them heal. So this is another job that servant leadership do. You don't just say that, okay, get well, but you go there and help with the wound. You clean the wound, you put medicine on it, and you make them feel better. So this is mean that you take part in helping them, whatever problem they have. For number 4 quality we need to have, we call awareness. It starts with self-awareness and all kind of understanding. Or you, by the way, to say that you are more sensitive now to what people think, what people say, what people react. It's like you have all the radar, you have all the sixth sense that you can feel how people change in their mood, in their thinking, in their way. How you get that? Well, it starts with all the connection that you care for them, you care about them, and you want to help them. And you pay attention. When you pay attention, you learn about them more and more every day. And you observe them that each day something changes. And that is something that you have awareness about them or the situation around them. Persuasion. And this is different from forcing people to do. We, the leader, the servant leader, learn how to make people join you by using your words or by using all the good reason. Instead of forcing them that I'm your leader, you need to follow me. No, we make them feel that they want to go with us. They want to join us. And this is, make them feel that this is their own decision. It's not you who make them, but they want to. So this is a big difference though. A lot of leaders have followers because the follower are fans of them or have to, no choice. But the great leader is the one who have people follow him by choice. You don't make him. You not make them follow you. They follow you because they love you. They want to be with you. And this is the great thing that Jesus have taught us. Conceptualization. It means that you can think far in the future. You can see a lot of concepts that not even happen or not with your own eye, but it's like vision. You think far in the future and you can dream for your organization or your group. Foresight is similar to that. It's about the future too. You can learn how to predict that what will happen next. It's not just about yourself or your team. It's about, in general, the economic or the world situation. Well, something you can learn, something you need to have the gift from God. A lot of great leaders will have those gifts from God to see, to feel the future or to predict what will happen next. Now, this is another word that they use a lot. They call SWOT. It means strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat about your church, your organization, or your team. You know your team very well. You know their strength of each person. You know their weakness. You know the opportunity, what they can do, and the threat to their life or to their family. So you need to know each of your team or your people very well. This is about something you need to spend time to learn. You cannot learn it overnight. It sometimes takes months and months or years to learn. Number 8, our leadership in this category is stewardship or accountability. Mean that people can count on you and you are stable. Whatever you say, you do it, and people can count on you. You keep your words. You keep your promises. If you keep changing and checking all the time, people cannot trust you. People cannot count on you, and you have big problem as a leader. So this is something that we need to develop as a Christian leader too. We have accountability. We keep our words, and we do what we say. So this is difficult. Commitment to the growth of people. Mean that you not just think about yourself, but you think about everyone in your church, in your team. You want them to grow too. You want them to have something better for them with the whole group. So this is not about just you or your family. It's about everyone in your church or your organization. You want everyone to feel better. You want everyone to gain something by working together. Mean that you care for them. Try to help them and even their children that you can help. Number 10, building community. Now this is important. Jesus is not just calling people to follow him. He built a church. He built a family for them too. It means that the community that Jesus called them together to be a new church, a new body, is a new thing for them that care for one another. To replace what they have in the past, that you might call a broken family, broken community. Now Jesus built them a new one, a better one. And in your church or your organization, people who join you need to feel that way. This is better. They feel that they are part of a new family. They feel happier. They want to come because they feel that everyone cares for them and they have a part in this big family. So if they don't feel that way, you cannot survive. You cannot do a good job. But if majority feel that way, oh, this is a big family for me, I can rely on, I am part of this family, they feel secure. So this is the big thing. Now I want to take a stop here a little bit and come back to you for you to reflect on this 10 advice about being a good leader, a servant leader. You need to know how to build a community, commitment to the people, accountability, foresight, conceptualize, persuasion, awareness, healing, empathy, listening. Now, all 10 of them are important. But I want you to think about your group or your organization now, which one that you don't have, or you overlook it. 1 to 10, which one that your group or you yourself overlook and don't pay much attention. How to improve it. 1 to 10. You can select one, a few of them that you feel that your group don't have or don't care much in the past. Now you need to pay more attention to that, to really build your leadership skill or to build your core group as a team. Okay, I will come to you and let you share some or ask more questions before we continue. So now your question or comment about your team or your style of leadership. Which one that your team don't have, or which one that your team have most, or you yourself? How about number one? Yes, Evan.
I would say, to me, I would say number one, and then also number 8. As number one, it is listening. Listening, it is very important that you listen, then you do it. Some people, they listen, but then, they listen, then they hear it, but then at the end, they don't, apply to it. They don't use it, and then also number 8, conceptualization. Yes, that one is really, really important. As a leader, I think we should I forgot it already, Ajahn. If you could show us number 8 again.
Well, it's like after you're leading your whole team, you can predict some of the future about them.
Right. Yes. Correct. Yes.
That's number 6, not number 8.
Was it 6 or 8? Conceptualization. Yes, that one.
Okay.
That's number 6.
Okay, thank you. Number 6. Yeah.
So what is number 8 is?
I didn't have my.
Oh, I did not hear Nathan.
Oh, it's a stewardship and accountability. That's number 8.
Okay.
Yes.
Accountability.
Yes.
ภาษาไทยพูดถึงความการดูแลและความรับผิดชอบใช่ไหม
I don't know how the Thai to translate because accountability means that people can trust you and you are stable and you keep your words.
Yes.
and that really mean. But in Thai, when you translate it, I don't know, the meaning might change.
yeah I think เขาพูดบอกว่าการดูแลหรือความรับผิดชอบ
Yeah.
นาโน่คำนี้ ใช้ไหมภาษาไทย
Even I can tell you that ความรับผิดชอบ it just means responsibility.
yes
So what the Thai can translate accountability. You know that when you translate one to another language, sometimes you cannot find a word because that culture they don't have it.
right
So it means that that culture never care about accountability. So they never make a word for it.
accountability พูดถึงความรับผิดชอบไหมอาจารย์ I think that's close enough
It pairs of that. But it means more than not just responsibility. ความรับผิดชอบ in Thai translate into English mean responsibility. But accountability mean that they can trust you. They can rely on you. A lot of people say responsibility, but they cannot reliable. They cannot be trusted. So to translate, you need to get the meaning across, not just the words across.
right
The real intention across. That's what I try to say. The real intention, because each word has so many options.
you're right yeah you are the one accountability and people can trust you people can put their trust on you that you will lead them through
Yeah, Kat?
Ajahn, I see that empathy that most of the church don't have that. I see most of the leader, sometimes they would say another thing, but the heart go another thing. They don't base on what they say. To me, I see that empathy, that is the most important in the church. So, yeah, for the experience, I don't mean that my church, everybody's church, I see that today, I see that one. It's most important, we need that.
Yeah, we learn all these things because we're going to be leader too. And we're going to face the same problem like them. How we going to do a better job? When we face the same situation, how we can do a better job? If we take an easy way out, we might end up like them.
Yes.
As I say, there's always a price to pay. And a lot of time people don't want to pay the price. But the chapter tried to bring us to the model of Jesus, how he lead us, how he set a good example. In the past, we always think that if you can be in front or on the top, you are leader. No, not necessarily. How do you think that somebody say that servant leadership is leading from the back? How you can imagine that leading from the back, not from the front? that's the real picture. When you go to look at the shepherd in the real field, sometimes you walk in front, sometimes you walk at the back. Why? Sometimes you walk in the front, sometimes you walk at the back.
Why?
Yep.
I
You
don't-
know, in the new places, the sheep don't know how to go. They need the leader. The shepherd need to lead them. But a lot of places, they're regular paths. The leader can be at the back to make sure that the little one, the weak one, also with the group. When they hurt, the leader, the shepherd need to be at the back to make sure everyone is with the group. Nobody is left behind, especially the little one, the one that hurt. So now you see some situation, the leader have to be at the back. Yes, Nathan.
So Ajahn, if the leader is in the back, so who's the who go to the front? The one that associate pastor, the one that the elders.
It can be the older chief or the one that more usual and other people also know them well. So sometimes you are the pastor, you might not need to be there, but people know how to do the work. But you still keep taking care of them from the back. But you know that they can survive. Now you see some parents, they call overprotective parents. Are you one of them? Why you are overprotective? And you know that when you are overprotective, it's not good for anyone. It's just how you know the balance. I know some kids need more help, some kids don't need that much. But over means that it's not good.
And talking about the leader is supposed to be leading ahead of the sheep, like a shepherd.
Not all the time. In real life, sometimes you walk in the middle of the group. Sometimes you walk at the back. It depends on situation.
Okay, depends on situation.
Yeah. Now, which one that you think that you need to start doing more out of that 10?
1 to 10, Ajahn.
1 to 10. I want you to pick just 1 or 2, not all 10.
John, I feel like you never know how hard it is to be a parent until you become a parent.
Yes.
As a leader, you don't know how hard it is until you become a leader. I feel like I understand 1 to 4, but 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it's beyond the ability. So just like you said, we need to look at Jesus, but at the same time, it's not easy to be a leader.
Yes, a good point. I met a lot of people who prepare to be a good parents, mom or dad. But I found out that nobody really fully prepare when time comes. They still miss something, forget something, or fail in some area. So you will never be fully prepared, but you learn on the time, on the way. You learn by how to be a good parent by practicing the real child when you have the children. You know that a lot of things that you have prepared and learned is not enough. Each kid is different. Even you already have 10, number 11 might be beyond you. So I believe all your situation is different. But we can just share in general that, okay, we do this, how it works, doesn't work, and you can adopt it, and it might never work with you.
Ajahn, I feel like number one is like you live by the example, and you lead by the example. And I feel like most of the time when you do that, and not everybody follow you. So as long as you be faithful and you live by example, and act, living your life as example, and you want to, for instance, like leaders, number one, they need to like give Thai, for instance, like that. You have to be faithful in your Thai, and if you're not faithful in there, you can you don't set example. I think it's most leaders should be number one is important.
Yep. It's still people look up to us. They learn from you. Even you are not perfect, they still look up to you. So we, the leader, we're still learning every day too. We're not done.
Yes.
Monica, want to say something?
I just want to say something because as a leader, I think conversation, conduct, and character is very important because you don't carry only on Sunday. You have to carry every single day, every moment, because people will be judging you, looking at you, how you talk, how you carry yourself. As a leadership, I think those are pretty important.
You're right. When you are the leader, you are easy target. It means that you're always there for people to shoot. So when you want to be leader, it means that you're ready to be shoot all the time.
You mean ready to be shooed by someone, by people, right, Ajahn? Yeah.
You're out there. And people look at you, love you or hate you. You're always there.
Yeah.
So Jesus tried to tell us that, well, instead of use a lot of the way of this world, use Jesus' way, humility and caring, loving them. But you know that the world leader is, they use their power, their gun, their fear to control people, to lead people. That is different from what Jesus wanted to do. So when we say opposite, mean that we want people to respect us, love us, and care for us.
Ajahn, in reality, sometimes you want people to love you, you want people to respect you, and sometimes you don't get that stuff, but you know that when you do things and you know it's right and you go forward even though if they don't follow you. If you as being a leader, you have to it's right and you go ahead and do it. And maybe like a few of them don't want to follow you.
Yes. If you do what Jesus tells you to do, absolutely somebody will see that. That is the best thing. But yes, you cannot expect everyone to like you or to follow you.
And I feel that also as a leader, we must remind ourselves that the battle is not ours, it's his. It's so easy for us to complain and to get carried away and overwhelmed by the situations. Yeah.
Yes, that's a good point. You're not alone. You're serving God and Jesus. It's not your battle. It's not all about you. It's not your war, by the way to say. You're just there to be part of Jesus asked you to do. Jesus himself is with you and do everything. You do it for Jesus. Now it will feel a lot better when you know that this is not my war. This is not my church. It belongs to Jesus. I just there to help, to do my part, that's all. So now a big burden is away from you now. You still feel that this is my church? It's not your church. Just do your best while you can. And depends on God, and Jesus will help you. Okay, you have any more question or comment before we take the break? Okay, now after we talk about the 10 advice to be a good leader, leader by example, to be a servant leader. Now they say more detail now. We talk about what we do on the last section. Now, how? People look at you and they say that a servant leader have some quality that we can learn. The first one that you do a lot is you lead by example, good example. What the difference between good example? Most leaders will lead by their mouth, their words. They teach people what to do. They tell people what to do, but they don't do it. And Jesus told his disciple that you can listen to the Pharisee. They teach the words of God, but don't do what they did. Why? Because the Pharisee don't live up to what they teach. They teach one thing, but they live another lifestyle. So that's not a good leader, as Jesus teaches. So now it's more difficult. When you're going to be servant leader after the way of Jesus, you need to lead by good example. You teach them what to do, and you have to do it too. At least we try, we're doing together. It's not mean that you have to be perfect first. No, you still teach the words of God. It's still the perfect words. But you are not perfect. It's okay. You let people know that, and you let them know that you try. Depends on God, look at God, and you try to do what God teach you to do. So this can be go hand in hand. You tell the fact, the truth from the words of God, the standard from what the Bible said for us. At the same time, you try your best to be a good example, that you try and let them know that you try, and they have to try too. By the help of God, we can do something. Show your team why the job matters. The second thing that we need to do often is compliment your team. When they try to do something good, let people know that you appreciate what they try, what they done. Don't overlook or ignore a little bit thing that they try. Let them know that you see they have progress. They have done something good. They put extra effort on something. Mention that. Encourage teamwork. And this is go another step. You can do a lot of things to make them feel better or feel that you care. Or the whole church care about what they have done for the church or for the team. Your team is important to you. So encourage them. Even sometimes they fail, sometimes they make mistakes. Give them a chance. Help your team member grow and develop. This is important though. Everyone want to feel they have done something good. And everyone want to feel that they're growing. If they feel that they're not growing or they don't learn anything new by working with you or with your team, they will lose hope and they don't want to try anything more. So let them have a chance to grow, to get promotion too. Care personally for your team. This is personal touch. What that means? Don't treat them like a team, but treat them individually. You have Susan, you have Mary, you have John, you have Jim. Treat them as Jim and John, not like a team. They are each one of them different, and each one of them contribute to your team and be part of your body, your job, and your church. Treat them individually, not as a group. Each one needs personal attention. Always ask for feedback. This means that you open up communication. You let your team talk, share, and advise, comment. You need to let them feel comfortable to evaluate or make comment. Don't cut them short or tell them to stop, because if they don't feel comfortable, they won't be part of your team. They don't feedback. They don't feel they are part of it anymore. So you will lose a lot of chance to improve your work or your team. Now this is in the middle. They say that there are good and bad of this servant leadership. I insert this in to let you know that it's not always perfect. If you be fair, to be servant leadership have some con, I mean that some minus in there too. Now I want you to see the point is servant leadership emphasize on people, your team, and how people feel. This is the good side because you don't care much about success of work. You care about people, how people develop, how people feel good or be part of the team. But the con means that you lose your power to control them, because you don't emphasize about success that much. You just care about people. Now you don't have all the authority to control them, push them, because they don't feel that you have that, you don't want to do that, because this is a different philosophy. Paul is, people feel very good in your team, morale high, the spirit high. People feel comfortable working with you and love coming to join you to do anything. So that's a good thing. People feel good. Because you make people feel good too much, so much, it might struggling try to make decision. Why? Because nobody want to hurt other people's feeling. Nobody want to say something straight that might make people don't feel comfortable. So you see people delay or reluctant to say something that may hurt other people feeling. So mean that when you try to do this kind of leadership, you might not get the best decision making all the time. Now, because servant leadership emphasize on people, while the regular style of leadership emphasize on success, on work, not people. Now you need to decide why I put this on the middle to let you know that at a church, we care about people. But in business, they care about success, about job done, more than on people. But now, I think that we need to balance of both. We want job done and we care about people too. But at a church or Christian organization, we care more about people. But if possible, we want the job to be well. How to serve your team by being the best leader to them? Well, it's not always one answer. You know that different team, different situation demand different kind of leadership. So I cannot say that one size fits all. Or if you're successful in business, you're going to be successful as a pastor, no. Or if you are a very successful pastor, you can be a very, very successful businessman, no. You need to adjust. You need to adapt your style and your work with the situation, with the people, and with your goal. Now you can see that why we need servant leadership at church, because our goal is people, not work. Our goal is God, to glorify God, not to make money. So now you see that we have different goals, we have different targets, different philosophy. So sometimes you can borrow from business, but not all. Because we have different philosophy, we have different vision. Now we come back to the Bible. We talk a lot about being a good example, how the Bible teaches. The Bible have the way to teach us. From 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 12, what he said, let no man despise thy youth, but be thou an example of the believer in words, conversation, charity, spirit, in faith, and in purity. Now, this is how Paul looked at servant leadership. You need to be good example in words, conversation. Charity is mean love, but some versions use the word charity. In spirit, in faith, and in purity. Now we go in detail. In words, it just means that from biblical perspective, servant leadership care a lot about his words. he needs to preach the words of God to start with, not his own words. The words of God is the standard. And you keep up with the words of God. And when you say something to people, you care about what you say too. It needs to reflect your belief and the words of God in you all the time. So this is what Paul look at leadership in church or Christian organization. We say anything we say need to based on the words of God. And it have to be the right, the correct, qualified, and people can trust. Now in conduct, what that mean? Mean that the way we live our life in general. We are not perfect, I always say that, but you need to be at least a good example in general. Mean that you behave pretty well, or at least you try your best in your personal life, in your family life, and in your relationship with the rest of other people, inside church, outside church. You treat everyone well, and you respect other people. In general, mean that you have the lifestyle that according to the Bible. So this is in general, though. The Bible teaches us how to treat our family or take care of them and how to relate to outside people and inside people. In general, this is what Paul means. In love. So this is the main topic that Paul wants our leadership to learn. Everything we do in love, because God loves us and God is love. We use a lot of compassion. It's just to explain that it's not just how you just feeling, but it's action too. And I say that you have sympathy is good, but we need to learn how about empathy. To feel what other people feel, to cry with people who cry, and to be happy with the people who happy. Not acting, but learn how to feel that feeling. So this is love. In spirit. Now we talk about God's spirit, not any spirit outside that we talk about. When people in general talk about spirit, oh, you so happy, you feel so in that sense. But here Paul talk about in spirit of God, under the control of the Spirit of God, and let the Spirit of God work in us. Mean that we have God to reflect in our life. The Spirit of God show out to other people. Let God be God in us. In faith. Faith and belief, what we always mean. Mean that we trust in God, obey God. In everything, not just something. So as a leader, we need to trust God in our situation and believe in what the Bible teaches. And you see that in Hebrew 11, talk about faith and belief. It's just something we trust, even we don't see, we don't feel, but we believe that what God say is true. We don't prove God by our wisdom, but by our spirit, by our heart. We know that God is there and what he say is right. That is faith, is belief. Some people say that I need to see, I need to touch to believe. Well, if that's the case, that is not faith, that is not belief. When you already see it, when you already touch it, you don't need to believe, you just accept it. But believe according to the Bible mean that you don't see it, you don't get it, but you believe. That is belief. That is faith. Now you as leader, you need to show people that you believe in all the promises of God, what the Bible say, what God say, even if we don't get it. And the example very clear from Abraham, when God said that I go to bless you, I go to give you all the land. You know that day until the day he died, he don't get all the land, but he believed that one day all his children, descendants will possess all the land. The promise not just finished with him, but his children, generation after generation. It's a forever promise. So believe not end with you. It keep go on to your children, grandchildren generation. God don't look at us just in a few years, but forever. So we might be the one who start, but end with us. It keep continuing forever. In purity. So what that mean? It not mean that holy though, because only God is holy. We are not holy. But we can try to be pure in the sense of God clean us, and we stick with God. God keep. It doesn't mean that we never make mistake, no. But it just means that God forgive us and give us a chance. We keep our life close to God. So people will see that as a leader of Christian organization, we try to keep close to God because God help us. Now you talk about purity, you talk about faith, you talk about spirit, you talk about love, conduct, you talk about words. This is the 6 area that as a Christian leader that the Bible look at us. What we say, what we do, and what we act, and what we live by, spirit and faith. And what we think in our heart is something that a lot of people say, oh, too much. Why I have to sacrifice that much just to be a leader? Well, it's worth it. Because it makes our life better. And God helping us to live up to this standard. It's not because we can do it ourselves, but God help us. And we can help so many other people to live a better life too. Now you look at people in general, they try their lives to be the best they can, but most people fail. Why? Because a lot of temptation, a lot of bad things going around, and people have no way to get away from it, especially some people who live in certain area. Temptation is everywhere, and people need help. Now, this is something more than just about us. And when Jesus called us and using us as a leader to help other people, when I use the word leader, I don't just mean that some leader at church, but as a believer, as a Christian, we always a leader for God, to lead people to God. A shepherd is not just stand in front of people and preach all the time. It's just about you going out and look for lost sheep, lost people in this world who need to come back to God. And God assigned each one of us to be a shepherd that way, to go out and seek and search for the lost soul and bring them back to God. In the meantime, He wants us to be a servant leader, mean that not preach and teach them, but to heal them, to be with them, and to comfort them and bring them back to God personally. And I put this on that leader always remind ourselves about actions speak louder than words. We need to do what we say. And you heard the story all the time that dad and mom try to teach their children to do certain things, but they themselves don't do it, or they do opposite thing. You think that the children will follow what they do or follow what they say? Like the Thai have a story about a mother crab. Teach all the baby that, oh, you don't walk straight. You need to walk straight. So the baby crab asked mom, show us. So the mom start walking. Or the baby crab laugh. Why? She cannot walk straight too. She walk crooked. And all her baby walk crooked too. Well, that's a story. But it tells us something that the first teacher is our mom, that for sure. And you see that I don't mean that we're better than that mama crab, but God can help us. A lot of things we teach is not about our words, it's about the words of God, and we don't teach them to follow us, but to follow Jesus. And here of the Navy SEAL, you know that they are very tough and they have a big training. Not everyone who go to that training pass the test. They say that maybe just allow 10-20% pass, but everyone try. I don't mean that to be a Christian leader is that hard. I don't mean that only 10 or 20% of us will successful. But I just want to let us know that it's not easy. But when we depend on God, I think all of us can do it, because it's not by us, it's by God. Even it's tough, the battlefield is tough, but it's not our war. We're just there to help God to do our part. Now some more advice that might help us to stick with what we try to do. Watch what we say. Respect the chain of command. This is from the Navy SEAL motto though. What we can learn from the Navy SEAL, they teach that trainer that what you say is so important. To live your life, you do what you say, and don't say what you don't believe. So watch what you say. Respect the chain of command, mean that you are the pilot, you obey your leader, your platoon leader, and your leader obey the one higher than him. And when they command, the captain might not command the pilot straight, but it will go step by step, down from the top to the bottom, and the bottom to the top. So what we learn from that idea? Well, we have God on top. We have Christian leader in the middle, and we have all the follower, new believer that follow us. We obey God, we listen to God, God commands us, and we let people know. Like Moses do that to the Israelites. Why not God talk to the people directly? Well, he wants to. Even today, we always say that when we pray to God directly, but still, we still need leader to guide us, to help us. A lot of time when we hear God, we don't understand, or we misunderstood God. That's why Moses helped the people to understand God correctly. And a lot of time, the Christian leader do like that. They have more experience. They are more with God, and God used them to help the people. Listen to the team, mean that we are together as a family. Jesus said that we are part of the body. We cannot do things ourselves. And the whole body needs us. We depend on one another. Take responsibility. Well, big or small, it's still responsibility. We need to do our part. We cannot say that, well, I don't do it, somebody will do it. It might be right, but everyone who try to help you to do your job, they have to sacrifice. And you don't do your part. Let the team do that thing, mean that we all do different parts. And don't try to be job. Let them do what they call to do. Best. We just do our part and be happy with people more. So this is the sixth thing we learned from the Navy SEAL. As a leader, Christian leader, we can learn from them too. They take care of themselves. They let the team do that thing. And they take responsibility. They listen to the team. And they respect the chain of command. They watch what they say. Okay, I try to bring you to the end, and we're going to come back to the discussion later on. Here at the end is some Bible verses that we're going to check on them to see that what the Bible tells us how to be a leader by setting a good example. 1 Timothy 4:12. Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set example in speech, life, love, faith, purity. This is what we discussed in detail. As a Christian leader, we need to let people see what we say, how we live our life, how we show love, how we believe in the words of God, and we live a Christian life a certain way. Titus 2:6-7. Encourage young men to be self-controlled in everything. Set a good example in good, doing what is good. In your teaching, show integrity, seriousness. 1 Peter 2:16. Live as free men, but do not use your freedom as a cover up for evil. Live as servant of God. So this is Peter advises. We are free, but use the freedom in the right way. John 13:15. I have set you an example. You should do as I have done for you. Train a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not turn from it. So this is some advice from Solomon. We need to start young, start early. And when we lead a certain believer from the beginning, that will help that teaching stick with them a long time. Don't wait too long. Live such a good life amongst the pagan that though they accuse you of doing wrong, they may see your good deeds and glorify God on the day he visits us. And this Peter said that we live among non-believers. We need to be a good example. They need to see God through our living. Philippians 3:17. Join with others in following my example, brother. Take note of those who live according to the pattern we gave you. So Paul told the people that the good example is the leader of your people. Follow them. John 13, we say that they will know that you are my disciple because you love one another. And this is the main teaching of Jesus. You are the salt and of the earth. If you lose your saltiness, what is your life worth? So this is something Jesus reminds his disciples. Whatever you do, same way, let your light shine. That God wants us to shine the light to show people. Encourage young men to be self-controlled in everything. Set good example. And that Paul emphasized again, as a leader, we need to have a good example. And Matthew will come back to say again, the light that on top of the hill, people see all you done. 1 Peter 2, Christ suffered for you, leaving you an example that you follow in his step. Okay, let's go on and more and more. And in the end, Luke 1:37 say what? For nothing is impossible with God. Why? A lot of things we might think that it's difficult. I cannot do it. You're right. But God can do it. God in you will help you do it, not you. We cannot do it ourselves. We need to depend on God all the time. And he will help us. God is good. And anyone who take refuge in God, we will see the goodness of God. So this is what the Bible wants us to do as a Christian leader. We need to set good example. And people will follow us. It's not easy, but we can do it by the help of God. Okay, I will stop sharing and come back to you. You can pick up the Bible verse, we can discuss more, or come back to a certain section about the Marine, the Navy SEAL code of conduct, or go to Christian leadership that Paul said that how we have to keep our life to be good example in reality, in faith, in spirit, in love, in conduct, in words. Yeah, we still have some time to talk a little bit more. So how do you feel as a Christian leader, as a servant leader?
Must have love, Ajahn. Love is the most important one. Love, I think love is the number one thing. Without love, then it's gonna be really hard to, overcome all the obstacles.
Yeah, without love, we cannot do all these things.
Mhm.
And I always say that we need to love God, we need to love the people.
Yes.
Without that true love, we cannot do all these things. I shared with you before that one missionary saying that I went to the country because God command me. I go because God command me. I know that I have to go. I have to do, but I don't care about the people. Now, how do you think? The first one for him might be okay, but the second one not okay. Yes, Nathan.
So, what was the outcome of his ministry? He went there just have fun.
I have a very miserable ministry. Finally, he quit. You can guess from the beginning. If you don't love the people, how can you last? Now you can guess that you can last a long time if you love God and you love the people, no matter what. And you can guess that the people who quit early, why?
Because of no love.
Not enough.
Yes, not enough love.
They have, but not enough. Not because they don't know. Some of them very smart, know a lot.
Give up too soon, huh?
Yeah, because they don't have enough love. Now, another question. If they don't know much, but they love God with all their heart and love the people, you think they will last?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I think so, Ajahn.
Yeah, they will last. Because they got the most important ingredient.
Yes. I think we study that. I think not the last semester, but the one before that we study about that.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is the secret. You're still young, you start early. I have been in ministry for more than 40 years. I have seen so much. Most students that we have, about less than half will graduate. And the one who graduate will last a few years. Very few will last more than 10 years. And the one who lasts whole life, very few. Serving God, serving the church, very few. And you have the answer why. Tough, yes. Difficult, yes. Low pay, yes. Problem, a lot of problem, yes. But the most important thing, you know, that they don't have enough love.
It's not easy being a Christian, especially being Christian is hard for me. It's hard already, but being a leadership, a mentor, I can only imagine, because I never realized how hard it is to be a Christian until I started reading the Bible and getting deeper into God's word and reading the Bible daily devotion. So I get to know him. And when you look now, when I go outside, when I go walking, I look at the sky, the Mother Nature, you look at it differently. You look at it from a different perspective, how the world is, and it's amazing.
Yeah, and believe me, if you love God more, you love the people more, everything a lot easier. Because love will help you go through all the difficulty. As a mom and dad, how can you tolerate your kid, your children?
Right.
They make mistake, they accusing you, they threaten you, they do all the bad thing to you, but why you still cannot dump them?
Because of your children, Ajahn.
Yeah.
More than that, you love them.
Love them, yes.
Not just your children, because you love them. A lot of people say, I don't care.
Maybe out of emotion, but I don't believe they really, meant what they say,
Oh yeah, that you think a good way. Now you see that the people at church who say that, they don't mean that. If you look that way, you can love them.
You can resign as a leader, but you can't resign as a parent.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
You can put a sign says for sale kid, later nobody's gonna buy.
Well, when God put you there, you cannot resign too.
Yeah.
It's a joke. Now listen to my joke. Most American pastors, when they go to the church, they say that God called me here. After 3 years, he want to quit. He said, God tell me to move. And every 3 years, he do the same thing. So God changed his mind every 3 years.
I have observed and see that a lot, Ajahn.
Mhm.
And we see the pastor come and goes. A lot of pastor comes and goes in the same church.
Well, I thought the other side of the grass is greener. It might be greener, but you still have to mow it.
Well, I don't blame them, but I know that they have a difficult job.
You're right. It is tough being a leader, and sometimes like you look at the situation. You the one always get criticized all the time.
Mm.
Yeah, you have to take that into consideration that you, like Jesus, get criticized a lot by the people and by Pharisee, by even his disciple, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, tell yourself you're serving God, you don't serving people. You're serving God.
Yeah,
God call you.
that's right, John. That keep us going because we doing it. They said, "Oh, we serving God. We do the best we could. We do the best we can. The ability to God keep us, and that we trust God, and that even though that people might see, oh yeah, 10 years, 15 years, church still the same. I said, I'm not God. Like put yourself in God. That's up to God, right? Do your best, do your part. God is the one that make it grow or not, And we are the servant. We can be, one plant, the other will have to water, and the other have to put some soil to make the life of the believer stronger. Be fruitful.
You know that I want to end the class with what Jesus say. In the end time, when Jesus come and we meet Jesus, what Jesus will ask us? You pastor the biggest church of the world. You have the most member. You are pastor the richest churches. How you bring a lot of people to salvation? No. What Jesus will say to us? Just two options, two things. Faithful servant or unfaithful servant. That two options that Jesus will say. Either faithful servant or unfaithful servant. That's it. What that mean? It means that we're faithful to what he called us to do or not. He called us to be faithful, not to be successful.
I like that. Cause be faithful, not to be successful.
Mm-hmm. Be faithful to what God called you to do. Not try to be successful to prove to people.
That means, a lot of time people thinking they are successful, that is mean nothing, right? Just a faithful, no matter what, how, like Joe Austin, Bill Graham, whatever, how many million believer, don't care. Just Yep, Ajahn. First tonight, I heard this word. That's make me a little bit more stronger. Because we don't mean that we need to successful. Just thank you.
Faithful till the end.
Yeah.
Okay, I want you to continue when you go to your study group on Monday. Continue on this topic. To be faithful, not to be successful.
Yes.
Successful. If the church grows too fast, and it might have a lot of cancer, right, Ajahn? Yes, exactly. What you I think it was class 1 that I just learned.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. Okay, any more questions before we're done for this class? We will take a short break and come back for the church history.
Yeah, the other thing also, John, we cannot compare ourselves to others. Like other people think that they're success, but we don't put ourselves, like, oh, we got to be success like them. And all these things is, like we just doing our job, but like you said, being faithful. But God is the one that make it grow. God is the one that make it, change the lives of the people. God use us as a tool, but we can do, much we can. It's not our ability to change people, but God is the one that changed their heart.
You remember what Jesus said? He teach that he gave some 10 talent, some 5, some 1. It means that we all don't get the same gift. So you don't need to compare.
Right.
Just do your part the best you can. That means faithful.
Right.
Now I got a chance that compared to the business successful, if you think that you're successful in the business, you can go for the pastor. No, that's a different way. You're successful the pastor, you think you're going to same thing doing the business. Now I know what that means.
Ajahn, we still discuss in chapter 2 of supervision on Monday. Still not even too far yet.
That's okay.
That's okay, yeah.
At least we're going somewhere.
Yeah, it's talk about a business model, right? And how we can compare that to the church, but it's not always work the same thing. But I think the Christian, the church adopted business model, like you said, to run the church.
Yeah, and that is wrong. We can learn something from them, but don't adopt everything from business. I will finish for this class and let you take a break, a short one. Okay, section 9 is about Reformation. And when we talk about Reformation, we talk about the church, the real church that underground for so long. Now we pop up. Why I say that underground? And I told you before that Christian always underground because we are illegal. From the early church in Jerusalem in AD 30 on, especially when the Roman destroyed the church in Jerusalem in AD 70, the church is underground because the Roman treat Christian as illegal. The Roman want everyone to worship idol and emperor. Christian won't do it. So Christians were killed and died, so many of them, million. When Constantine, the first Roman emperor who became Christian, allowed the 4th century, the whole empire followed the emperor. But most of them are not real believers. They still keep the old Roman religion, but they just adopt Christian name, Christian culture into their temple. They call themselves Roman Catholic, the religion of the Roman, international. They use the word international to make people feel good that now they follow the emperor. But you know that most of them are not real believers and they don't know what they're doing. So the real church, the real people who worship God still underground because the open church is not real church. They don't really believe. They just adopt the name, the culture, the tradition of Christian into the temple and make themselves look Christian, but theology they are not. Now, how can it last for 1,000 years? I say this is the dark age of the church. The people don't have freedom. And you see that they don't allow people to read Bible. Some of the people who have knowledge to learn to read, they know something, but not exactly the real Bible. Allow the 8th century, they translate the Bible. Jerome translate the Bible from Greek into Latin. Some people who have knowledge, because Latin is a language of the Roman Empire. The people who go to college or have high education can read Latin. So they can read some of the Bible, the Roman Bible, but without that version of the Bible we correct. We call them Latin Vulgate. Jerome by himself translate the whole thing, that the theory go on. The problem is Jerome don't know much Greek. The version he uses Greek. From Septuagint Greek translate into Latin that called Latin Vulgate later on. And the Roman Church used that version for 1,000 years. Even today, they still keep that version. Now, in this many years, more people who try to learn more about Bible, they go to seminary, they go to college, and they start learning Greek, start learning Hebrew, and they can read the original Bible. Very few of them who have that knowledge to read, and now they found the fact, the truth of the Bible, different from what the church teach them. A lot of them cannot stand by anymore, but they're not the first one to find the truth that I tell you. But the leadership in Rome put them in jail or kill a lot of them. But now time of we call Reformation. God going to clean up the church now. So God protect all these leaders from the killing team that sent from Rome. The leader in Rome have their own army. They send them out to kill anyone who teach anything against the leadership. Put them in jail, punish them, burn them alive, and do anything to stop them. But now time comes, they cannot stop everyone. And we call the floodgate it open. Before this Reformation, that in the 13th, 14th century or 15th century, we have another thing going on we call Renaissance. Renaissance is mean that the people in Europe start go to college, learning about literature, science, many other knowledge, and they want to know more. The church stopped people from learning anything for so long, but this is the time of change. And people start invention, science, a lot of new things happen in Europe. And after that, the Reformation means that the leader, the real leader in church to know the truth will want change in the church now. What kind of change they want? Well, we will go on that Some group want completely change. Some group just want to change some. Now we will call them that some is just about halfway change, and some want completely change. Some of the names that you will see later on, like Martin Luther, John Calvin, Zwingli, and other leaders, but these three guys are going to be the most important person that we're going to mention. Why? Because their theology is going to be a foundation for all the Protestant churches in the future. And let us say last week about the Renaissance, the thing that Renaissance have a big impact on Europe and Christianity is the printing shop. They invent the printing shop, but as I told you that the European know how to use printing shop around the 15th century. But you know that the Chinese know how to use printing since maybe the 1st century already. It means that the Chinese already know how to use printing 1500 years before the European. Now the question is, since the Chinese know how to use printing, why not the Chinese become superpower in those days? Well, in some form, yes. But the wrong teaching of the Chinese is whenever you find something new, don't tell anyone, don't teach anyone, keep it a secret for your own family so you can make money. That's the idea of the Chinese. That's why all technology never progress, never improve, because they don't share, they don't tell. They keep all the knowledge with them until they die and take them with their death. Nobody can do it again, and that is bad. But we found out in Europe in the Middle Age, whenever anyone finds something new, they share. And the one who learn from that, improve it, make it better, and make the world better that way. So the Chinese cannot be superpower in the past because they don't share their knowledge. And the knowledge die with them. And the Roman have some bad idea, the same thing. You know that 2000 years ago, the Roman know how to make concrete. Do you look at the Colosseum that the stadium that people can sit 10,000 people, made by concrete. People can sit, and even today, after 2000 years, the Colosseum still stand. But the Roman never teach anyone how to make concrete. So the technology died with them. The European after that don't know how to build the castle with concrete. They still go back to the Stone Age. All European castle, everything are stone, not concrete. But the Colosseum older than them are concrete. And you know that the knowledge about how to make concrete rediscovered again just less than 100 years ago. It's sad. The knowledge how to make concrete died with them for almost 2000 years. And we just know how to make concrete again less than 100 years ago. Unbelievable, but true. So this is something. The printing shop helped Christianity to change a lot because Martin Luther, John Calvin, a lot of leaders in Germany, in France, will start translate the Bible from Greek and Hebrew into simple German language, French language, for simple people to know the truth. But without a printing shop, not many people can have a chance to read the Bible. Because in the old day, when they translate one page, another person need to copy it and take maybe the whole night to copy one page. It's going to take a long time to copy enough to send to everyone. But the printing shop in one night, they can make thousands of copies several thousand of copy overnight and sent all over the country. So this is how the Reformation get on fire. The translation of the Bible and the printing shop, they go hand in hand. In the past, without these two things, nobody know the fact, nobody know the truth. The printing shop of 500 years ago is almost like internet of today. When you have any knowledge, you want to tell the whole world, you post it in social media, like on Facebook, on TikTok. In a few seconds, the whole world can see it, lies away. In those days, printing shop, Martin Luther translated all night time. And then the printer take what he translate and put into the print shop and print it out, thousands of copy overnight. In the morning, they send all out all over Germany, all over France, all over Europe in a few days. Everyone know the fact, everyone know the truth, everyone read the Bible and found out that the leader in Rome lied to them. Don't teach the Bible. Don't teach them the words of God. Now they have big problem. The big impact is on Europe when Martin Luther in Germany start teaching the real Bible against the leader in Rome. So the leader in Rome sent killing team after him, and he have to run away from place to place almost all his life. But God protect him and use him. And nobody can kill him because God want them to lead the changing that come to the church. Now we talk about, let's see. What is the difference between the Renaissance and the Reformation? I already said that the Renaissance talk about the knowledge, discover the knowledge of literature, language, art, science, all over Europe, the knowledge that they don't care for so long. Now they care. But the Reformation is about the church, the changing from the teaching of the Roman Church to the real Bible of God. That we call Reformation. So they're two different things. Renaissance is about art and science, but Reformation is about Christianity. Now we talk about some important things that I told you about Martin Luther. Who is he? He started as a German citizen, a Roman guy, but he really interested in religion. So he go to college and then become a priest. And that time only one choice because the Roman rule all over Europe. They joined the church. And he joined Augustinian fire, mean that the group that emphasize about knowledge and learning. So some group of the order just concentrate on learning and teaching other people. So he one of them. He go to college over there and found out the truth. Later on, people will call a church Lutheran after him, named after him. He is not the one who found the church, but people later on use his teaching. Several hundred years after that, they call themselves Lutheran to honor him, that their church based their teaching on his theology. So he became a priest and have learned until he got a doctorate degree of the church, meaning that he learned Greek, Hebrew, original language of the Bible, and can read the Bible from the original language. So he knows the truth. Nobody can lie to him. And he found out that the church don't teach the Bible. The church is the fake church, pretend to be Christian, but they are not. Now he wants to challenge the church, but he still have some idea that, well, I don't want to change everything. I just want to change the main teaching to be correct. And he said that a lot of things I can live with it. A lot of Roman culture is okay. It's not too bad. But the main teaching have to change to be correct. So I put some about his early life, his family, his father. It's just a normal, simple people. And he don't have big ambitions of anything, but he loved learning. That's why he goes so well, go to college, finish and become professor. But later on, he felt God called him. He wanted to be a priest. So he joined the order, have more education, have training. But one thing in his life is very unique. He is perfectionist. And it shows out when he is a priest, he learned to confess his sin all day, all night. Until his confessor said, enough, Martin, no more, don't come back. Go to rest, I need to rest too. You confess to me 40, 50 times a day, that's too many times. Most people just once a day is enough. Why you have to do it 50, 60 times a day? He said that I think of any sin, I feel any sin, I have to confess to clear my heart, my mind out of it. But all his confessor decide and say no more, enough. But he keep go on to keep his life perfect and pure for God. And that bothered him so much. He read the Bible, tried to find out how to be holy, how to be perfect before God. He go to school until he got a doctorate degree in theology. Not many people do that, but because he loved learning, loved all the knowledge. And he do very well, become professor, teacher, teach about our philosophy, teach about the Bible. And he himself studied Bible so deep. And for sure, he will find out what the real teaching. Now, the Pope, the leader in Rome, want more money. You know that this is the position that have power and money. And they want to build a new castle, beautiful palace for themselves because they don't have nothing else besides building more beautiful palace and use the money to do all the beautiful things for themselves. And people remember them. So they want more money. How to make money out of the people? Well, they tell people that if you want to go to heaven, get out of hell, I can help you. So by my diploma, the leadership in Rome sent out a letter and with the signature that I forgive you. I take you out of hell, go to heaven. So they sell it very well with the rich people. And the poor people also try to buy some. Now, after selling to most people for a year or two, the leader say, we still need more money. So how to sell again? Well, now you can buy diploma for your ancestors who are already dead. They're already in hell, but I can unlock the hell door for them and open the heaven gate for them. So you buy the certificate of salvation for your grandfather, grandmother who are already dead, or great-great-great-grandparent who in hell. Now you buy for their past. I save them too. So the church make more money that way, sell to the one who already dead. At first they sell for the one who's still alive. Now they sell for the one who already dead. Make more money again, but they still need more money for the beautiful building. When they have a big plan for St. Peter Basilica, that today you go to Rome, you go to that beautiful square, St. Peter's Square, and all the statue, all the beautiful building. that built by the money that they sell indulgence. Now, when they want money again, they already sell to everyone alive, sells to everyone who dead. But how to sell, make more money to sell to whom? Now they have the idea. Make a diploma to sell to your great-grandchildren who not even born yet. You buy in advance, you at least you have money. You worry about your grandkid that not even born yet. Now sell to them in advance. The leadership said that I will record their name, that they are your great-grandchildren, not even born yet. But whenever they're born, I will save them from hell. I will unlock the door of hell and lead them to heaven. Now the rich people will buy more indulgent, the diploma for the great-grandchildren who not even born yet. So to make sure that the whole clan will go to heaven, none of them will go to hell. Now the leadership of the people sell for 3 groups of people: the living, the dead, and the unborn. Martin Luther said that this is not the Bible. This is the businessman idea. How can you get this idea into church and teach the people the wrong teaching? This is not Christianity. So he wrote a letter to Rome and post the 95 theses that against that teaching on the church door. I went to that church and to visit where he stand and preached against the Roman Church, Martin Luther, in Germany. So that a goosebump feeling that 600 years before me, Martin Luther preached there and preached against the Roman Church. And people come to read what he say against the teaching of the Roman Church. And a lot of people in Germany believe in him because he's the German priest. And all the prince, the leadership in Germany now, European, come to the time of they want freedom from Rome. I mentioned before that the real Roman Empire disappeared around the 8th or 9th century, meaning that they lost their power. All the people in Europe separate out to be independent, not under the Roman Empire anymore. But the Roman Church keep the name, the Holy Roman Empire in the name, mean that the church will control all over Europe under the brand name of Roman Church. And the leadership in Rome will appoint a certain king in Europe to be the emperor of the Holy Roman Empire by name, but no real power, but a title of dignity that all the king in Europe want to get it from the Pope. It's like the honorary degree. And the Pope can sell for a big money. But the real Roman Empire already disappeared, no more. But the church keep the name to use for the purpose. And the church said that we united the whole Europe under the name of Holy Roman Empire. And Luther will have a few friends who join with him in Germany against the teaching of the Roman Church because they all know the Bible. And they want the truth to come out. But this is the hard life because the leadership in Rome will send the killing field after them every day. They always have to hide, running away, a step before the killing team come after them. But by the grace of God, God protect them, they survive and spread the teaching. And here the more detail about his friend who joined him, about his teaching. They have all the debate, and most of them have the same idea about the church wrong. The Roman Church don't teach the truth of the Bible. The Roman Church abused the church, abused everything that they stand for. Now the Roman Church have one tool they use. At first, they threaten them. We will excommunicate you. What that means? Cut you out from the church. You cannot come to church anymore. We kick you out of the church. And all Christians not supposed to talk to you, not associate with you. They call excommunication. They send this announcement out all over Europe. Nobody associate with you. Nobody work with you. Nobody talk with you. If anyone associate with you, the Roman Church will excommunicate that person too. So this is the tool that they use to threaten people. Don't support Martin Luther. If not, we excommunicate you. You cannot come to church anymore. You cannot take the communion anymore. And nobody is going to talk to you, work with you, hire you, or nobody want to be your friend anymore. So this is the power tool that the leadership in Rome used to threaten people, simple people in Europe. Don't support Martin Luther. If not, we excommunicate you. When that threaten doesn't work, what they do more? Papa Boo is mean that the command that going out that now everyone who see you will kill you. This is the order from the leadership. Everyone sign the name. You against the church, you against the Holy Roman Empire. And your verdict is death. Anyone see you will kill you without sin. Because this is the order of the leadership. Anyone can kill you without sin because you are Satan against the church. Killing you is a murder and will send you to heaven. It's almost like Islam today. The Islam tell the people that if you kill other people in the name of God, and you go to heaven right away with 7 virgin wives waiting for you. That the teaching of Islam, of the terrorists that tell young people to take the bomb to kill everyone and kill yourself too. And when you die, you go to heaven right away with 7 white virgin wives waiting for you. That is another wrong teaching, but they use it to lie to young people, to do bad things for them. And the church doing the same thing in the past. They have many more meetings because even they order the killing team out. No, for many years they cannot kill Martin Luther because the protection of God and all the prince of the Roman city protect him. He running around from city to city and even sometimes run away to France, to Switzerland too, and back and forth. And that's the way God saved him. And he traveled around and teaching, preaching, and printing his Bible everywhere he go. And now more and more people, simple or German people know the truth by reading what Martin Luther wrote or translate from the Bible to them. And the leadership in Rome will continue try to do anything. If they cannot kill him, at least they want to shut him up. They threatened all the prince of German. German at that time divided into small cities. Many princes ruled over just a certain part of Germany. And the leadership in Rome Church always say that if you help us, we're going to make you the biggest of all German prince. And you can be the emperor of the Roman Empire too. Well, people might want that, but God have a different idea. And you know that the prince or the leader of the small city in the past ruled their own land. And most of the people are farmers. The prince live on tax, or the peasant, or the farmer. Simple people work in the field, and the prince come and take tax on them. And sometimes they take too much. And the farmers say, we cannot survive because you take so much from us. And the prince normally will send the army to threaten the farmer. And now Martin Luther will start to think that, well, the farmer correct. The prince can get some tax, but not take too much because the farmer need to survive too. So when Martin Luther takes side with the peasant or the farmer, a lot more people will listen to him now because they feel that most of the leader and church in the Roman church take side with the prince, the government. Nobody later takes side with the simple people. But Martin Luther said God and the Bible really support simple people and teach that the prince or the leader cannot take advantage of people. They can take some tax, but not too much. And more friend, this is another friend of Martin Luther, Elamas, also another scholar from Netherlands. A lot of them start with philosopher or teacher, professor of university, but later on, they also learn about Bible. And some of them become believer too. So they work together sometime. Now, another lady, you need to know her name, Catherine of Bora. She used to be another nun. The devout woman in Europe will go to be a nun, mean that to join the church without being ordained, just to be a nun, to keep a vow of poverty, a vow of virginity, and the vow of humility, mean that they don't have any possession, they don't get married, and they obey the leadership. Catherine of Bora is a nun, very strong leadership there. When Martin Luther set up his teaching in Germany, he go to all the churches and tell the priest, okay, you can leave the church, the convent, get married, and all the nun too. He tell all the German nun, get a husband, have a family. And most of the nuns do the same thing. The nun in German churches go out and get married. But this lady, she has strong will. Martin Luther said, why you still keep singleness? Catherine said that I cannot find anyone that I like. And Martin Luther said, you need my help? She said, yes, I want to marry you. So this nun want Martin Luther to marry her, to be her husband. So he tried to say no for a few times, but finally he gave up and gave in to her because she's so smart and have all the good reason. Finally, I think he liked her too, so they get married, have a few children. And their family become a big, you might call that a new style of convent, not convent, a new style of church. You see that Martin Luther and her wife and his wife have a big home that all the young men or the priests or the nun that get married, start a family, come to join them as a big family because they don't want to live alone because they used to live together for so long. After they get married or some not married yet, young man or young lady don't have convent anymore, they come to live with Martin Luther and his wife and become a big family. And every day they have big dinner together. And they debate, they talk, they ask questions about the Bible, theology, and become a big thing because they learn a lot from Martin Luther, the same way that Jesus and Paul teaches their disciples. They come to live with them, help them, and also learn from them by talking, learning, working in the same time. So this is become the way that Jesus and Paul have their school and their disciple learn from them this way. Martin Luther and his wife also do the same thing. They have a big group of young people, follow them, stay with them, and learn from them. And that's going to be in the future that all these followers are going to going out and start the church to honor Martin Luther, call themselves Lutheran Church later on. Well, somebody said that Martin Luther later on when he makes some mistake. What kind of mistake? Well, some people say that's not a mistake, but a little bit compromise. One of the German prince want to divorce his wife because he doesn't like his wife, the princess. So he talked with Martin and asked Martin Luther that, can I have another wife? Martin Luther said, well, you can marry one at a time. So the prince said, can I divorce my wife? Well, Martin Luther said, in the Old Testament, yes. New Testament, Paul said no. But the legend say that Martin Luther compromised with the prince by saying that, well, it might be some situation. You can divorce and marry again, because they quote the Old Testament that Abraham married several times and have several wives, Isaac, Jacob. So we don't know exactly what happened, but people claim that Martin Luther support the prince to marry many times, have many wives, and that is something people always accusing him that he compromised with the leadership, that we don't know exactly true or not. But he have a big impact, not just on German church or Christianity, but it go all over Europe and all over the world later on, because he challenged the Roman church about the teaching of salvation. He searched for himself because he know that the church teach that you're saved by grace to start with, but you have to keep doing good things by obeying the leadership, give money to the church in order to keep up with your salvation. If you stop obeying the leadership and don't give money to the church, you lose your salvation. That is the Roman teaching. Martin Luther teach that we saved by grace alone, not by work, not by obeying any law. And this is the big thing. Why? Because the Roman church make money out of that. Martin Luther says salvation is a free gift from God. You cannot make money out of it. Not even the leadership or the church in Rome. So this is a big thing. And Martin Luther tried to find this out because he himself always doubt his salvation, that he loses his salvation because he makes sin again. And the Bible confirmed to him that it's a free gift from God. Nobody can take it away when God gives you salvation. But he always doubt that because his foundation is from the Roman teaching. The Roman church say that your salvation is just like a down payment. God gives you a down payment for your house. Every month you still have to pay your mortgage until you pay off when you die. If you don't pay your money mortgage, you lose your house. So they compare salvation that way. God put a down payment for you. You move in, but every month you pay mortgage. By going to church, obey the leader, give money to the church, that means your installment every month. But for the Roman teaching, it's every week. Without doing that, you lose your house, you lose your salvation. But Martin Luther said the Bible did not teach that way. saved by grace alone. He read the book from the Rome that Paul wrote and confirmed to every believer that we saved by grace alone. So the second guy that's so important here is Zwingli. He's from Switzerland. And his teaching is more about salvation by grace, but he famous on free will. What that mean? Later on, he will crash with another important guy we call John Calvin. John Calvin will be very famous on predestination. Predestination means that God knows everything. God planned everything. Everything happened by what God dictated. But Zwingli will more go on the free will side, say that, well, God planned, but we have freedom. We have free will to do whatever we want. We sin because of our free will. So it's too extreme. But the Bible talk about both. Most of them quote Bible, and the Bible also talk about both in different situations. But both of them are extreme, mean that I am right, you're wrong. You're wrong, I am right in every situation. But instead, the Bible talk about both in different situations. Now, here more detail about his learning, his teaching, and why he joined the church. All of them just love knowledge and used to learn philosophy and teach philosophy in college. And he led the people in Switzerland to rebel against the teaching of the Roman Church too. And you know that the difference between Martin Luther and Zwingli is too extreme. And I say that Martin Luther said that, well, I don't want to change everything. I just want to change the teaching of the Roman Church that against the Bible, about salvation, about heaven and hell, about grace of God. But a lot of tradition of the Roman, Martin Luther say that we can keep, like all the ceremony in the Roman Church. Martin Luther said we can keep, and even some statue for decoration we can keep. But Zwingli extreme another way. Anything the Bible don't have, we throw them away. So they go to the church in Switzerland and throw all statue, burn down every symbol, and leave the empty room. And the real church is empty room. So that's extreme. They say that we go all the way to the original church, house church, no decoration, no statue, no painting, no symbol, just worship God from heart. So that's too extreme. So he more on free will, mean that he believed that man have freedom. God make us free to choose. And all the mistakes come out from what we choose wrong. So this is the extreme between Martin Luther and Zwingli. But they always become friends because they work together to rebel from the church in Rome. And both of them try to survive by running away from the killing team that's sent by Rome. And more detail about the difference about the Lord's Supper. The Roman Church teaches that when the priest pray, the bread becomes Jesus' flesh, and the wine becomes Jesus' blood. They believe that way. You don't see it, they say, because you don't have faith. but it changed. The priest see it. It changed to be Jesus, flesh and blood. That's the Roman Church teaching. And later on, Zwingli we teach that no, it's just a symbol. Nothing changed. Nothing changed at all. It's still the bread and the wine. It's just a symbol that we take to remember Jesus' sacrifice. So this is the main difference. How about Martin Luther? Martin Luther teach that after the preacher pray, there are two sets of the Lord's Supper now. The set that we have is bread and wine. And another set is Jesus, flesh and blood. You eat one, you eat two. One is physical, one is spiritual. After the priest or the preacher pray for the Lord's Supper, there are two sets show up. The physical one and the spiritual one. You eat one, you eat two. That's Martin Luther teaching. So now this is the difference between them about the teaching about the Lord's Supper or the Eucharist. Now John Calvin, another important guy. I talk about him because his teaching going to be the foundation of Presbyterian Church or the Reformed Church all over the world will base their teaching, their theology on John Calvin teaching. He's the French guy who started with learning to be a lawyer, regular lawyer, got a doctorate degree in law, but later on he became a priest and learned in seminary until he got a doctorate degree in theology too. So a very smart guy. So when he have two kind of degree, from law and from seminary, he reading the Bible and start translating and found out the wrong teaching of the Roman Church too. So he tried to write the teaching, translating the Bible and teach what he believed is the right teaching. And he wrote his teaching into many books, big books that become the foundation of many churches later on. And he famous on predestination. What that means? Predestination means that he said God know, God plan, and God control every detail of universe, human life. Everything that happened to man not happen by accident, but pre-plan, God plan, God control. Everyone saved because God already planned and select them in advance. Nothing can happen without God's approval. Well, he correct in many sense because the Bible mentioned about that too. But he don't believe that man have any freedom to change the course that God already planned. Now you see that John Calvin opposite from Zwingli, who believe that we have freedom to change God's plan. We have freedom to choose God's offer or not. But John Calvin said no. Nobody can change God's plan. Everything set, everything go that way. Now you see that two extreme too. And the Bible talk about both. And we know that in some situation, both are correct. And some situation, there are some way in the middle of both teaching. It depends on situation. And John Calvin have to run away from the leadership in Rome because they sent the killing field after him in France, everywhere. So he ran to Switzerland too. In those days, Switzerland already famous at the safe city, mean that the leadership in Switzerland don't take side. Anyone can have freedom in Switzerland. Anyone have war, they fight, but don't come to fight in Switzerland because Switzerland say we don't take side. We are in the middle. We are both of your friends. We don't fight you, and we don't you to come to our country to fight anyone. So a lot of people run to Switzerland to be protected under their status. Martin Luther come sometime, and John Calvin lived here a long time until he died here in Switzerland because he never can go back to France. So is a miracle or not? All these people born nearly in the same time and become so famous almost in the same time from different countries in Europe. And they teach the big foundation for Christian Protestant church in the future. Now we know that it's not by accident. It's the plan of God. God raised them up, protect them, and use them to reform the church from the Roman church to be what we call today Protestant. In fact, the word Protestant is not the word Christian call ourselves, but the Roman church call us. The Roman church called John Calvin, John Martin Luther, Zwingli, the protester, mean that the one who protests the church authority. But John Calvin, Martin Luther, Zwingli accept the name and use it to call themselves Protestant. It's like the first group of believers were called Christian. It's just the name that the non-believer call us. It's like a look-down name. Christian just mean that the follower of Jesus, and Christian like it. The disciple like it, so we adopt the name Christian to be our name. But it's not the name we call ourselves first. Non-believer call us. So like Protestant, it's not the name that all these people call themselves, but it's the leadership in Rome used to denounce them. But they like it. They adopt it and use it. John Calvin died and Martin Luther died, Zwingli died almost very close to one another. But their legacy, what they teach and what they have done stay on even today. We still learn about their theology, their teaching. And in the foundation of all churches all over the world, especially all the Reformed, Evangelical, Protestant church all over the world, based their teaching on John Calvin, Martin Luther, and Zwingli, the three guys. Yeah, there's more detail about that theology, that teaching. We cannot say enough because they wrote so many books. I read Calvin two theology book, each one about 700 pages or 800 pages. So two of them is almost 2,000 pages about his theology. And very interesting. His theology is very deep, but his Bible teaching is not that deep, not that good compared to his theology. He collects his preaching, his Bible teaching too. And this is more detail about his legacy, his teaching, writing, so many books that he wrote. And more name, but all these people is not so important. You might call them that, like this guy. Later on, he become John Calvin's successor, meaning that he come after when John Calvin dead, and to take over the teaching, the church. He laid some foundation, explain more, but not so popular, not so important as Martin Luther or John Calvin or Zwingli, because they are not the founder. They are just the one who come after to carry on the teaching, the church. But people want to honor him that he keep the work carry on the work and make it so so popular until today. You might call that he the student of John Calvin and successor. And Thomas Cranmer is the English guy. We talk about in England, later on the Reformation will go to England. But you see that in France, in Switzerland, in Germany, the Reformation happened because of theology. The leader found the Pope teach wrong. The leadership in Rome teach something not in the Bible. But in England, the Reformation will come to England not because of theology problem, but the main problem is the king want to divorce his wife. And in those days, anyone who want to divorce need to get permission from the church, the Roman church. And the king need to get approval from the Pope. And the Pope said no. And you know why the reason? Because the queen is the niece of the Spain emperor. And at that time, the Spain emperor is also the emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, meaning that he's the right hand of the Pope. Meaning that the Pope can order him, his army, the Spanish army, to go anywhere in the world, to conquer the land, to kill anyone, and to spread the teaching of the Roman Church. So if he allowed the King of England to divorce his queen, it will offend the King of Spain, who are the right hand of the Pope. So the Pope said, no way, you cannot. But the king wanted to divorce his wife anyway. He wanted to marry someone else, so he divorced. But how to do it? He said that in Germany, in France, in Switzerland, they have a Reformation, set the church free from the Roman church to be German church, French church, or Swiss church. Now I want the English church to be free from the Roman church, to call Church of England. So who's going to be leader? Well, there's no leader. There's one prime minister. Work with the king and make the king at the Pope of England, English church. Now you know that in today we call Church of England or Anglican church. The top leader of the church is the king or the queen of England. You don't need anyone. The king himself become the Pope. So the king can do whatever he wants. So he divorced his wife, married his new wife, and declared independent from the Roman Church, call themselves Church of England. But the theology of the Church of England is keep moving back and forth from Roman Church to the Lutheran Church, sometimes adopt Calvinism, sometimes adopt Zwingli, sometimes adopt Martin Lutheran teaching, because they don't have their own stand. They don't have their own theology. They keep moving back and forth. Whatever will fit their need, because the leader is not theologian, not preacher who know the Bible, but it just one freedom from the Roman Church. But anyway, it become another branch of the Protestant. John Owen, another English guy, who's going to be another leader in English church. Why? Because he, the real preacher who start learning the Bible and know that the church in Rome don't teach the truth. And he tried to tell the people, and you see that even now the King of England want freedom from the Roman Church, but they still don't want to offend the leadership in Rome too much. Because theologically, the leadership in England don't care much about theology. They want to keep peace with the Roman Church. They want to keep all the ceremony of the Roman Church and even some statue of the Roman Church. They just want freedom from the Roman Church, but don't want to fight the Roman Church. Now some of the preacher leaders start teaching something against the Roman Church so strong. So the leadership, the English leadership themselves try to stop all these preachers because these preachers want to be pure, correct theology too. But the King of England and all the leadership in England don't care about theology correct. They just want freedom from the Roman Church. But theology is okay. They can compromise with the Roman Church. When their own people, leaders, try to teach anything too strong against the Roman Church, they put them in jail and kill some of them. And to satisfy the Roman Church that, you see, I work for you, I help you. I don't have any problem with your theology or your teaching. I just want freedom from you. That's all. The leadership in England believe that way. So a lot of English preachers who try to stand up to the truth will be killed. When they try to translate the Bible, they will be killed. Now, William Tyndale is the first one who will be successful. Translate New Testament into English, simple English. Well, it's not so popular. The leadership not so happy with that. Even they want freedom from the Roman Church, but he finished it, do it anyway. Well, he's not so successful to print his version of translation, but we still honor him today that we call English translation. We call Tyndale Bible or Tyndale Bible Translation Group, and it spread all over the world to honor his name. And many more English names, because later on they will be so successful about translation the Bible, and this will be the foundation of translating Bible into many more languages in Europe after the model of the English Bible. So this is more information about the guy who tried to translate the Bible. This is another person. He also a priest who tried to translate the Bible and prints it in Czechoslovakia. Today we know as Czechoslovakia, but in the past we just call them the Czech people. Now you can know that in the past they are part of the kingdom of Eastern Europe. And they have a lot of theologians in those days. They try to move the church out from the Roman Church. Now you get more people from different parts of Europe. And we select a few of them from a certain country that's so famous. And a lot of them sacrifice their life to translate the Bible into their own language or try to teach the right teaching against the Roman Church. And the word Bohemian will come from this group. In fact, they are part of Czech Republic today. Now there will be more information about the people who try to translate the Bible into their own language, mean that in European language. And for the Roman Church, this is a threat. They don't want people to know the Bible. And they say it's a sin to translate the Bible from Latin into any language. And they teach that Latin is a language of God, but we know that it is not. but they teach the people that you cannot change the Bible from Latin. That's the only way, only language that God approved. And there are many more people, and some important document that Martin Luther or some of those people used to preach against the Roman Church. 95 Theses is the thing that Martin Luther wrote and post on the door of his church against the Roman Church. And here I put all 95 of them in simple form here. You can read them later on. What Martin Luther said, that what the church wrong in 95 point. Here are 95 of them here. If you have time later on, you read them. It become a very important document about Christianity later on. So all 95 of them are here. You don't need to go and read in Germany. It's here. Another group that will happen, we put Anabaptist because it means that the people who live baptized, you know that in those days, everyone baptized by sprinkling because that's the Roman culture tradition. But when they reform the church, some group will go all the way to re-baptize in the correct way, mean that dipping the whole body into the water. And the group who do that, they call themselves, or people call them Anabaptist, mean that re-baptized the second time. But for them, this is the right baptism. The first time is not right because it's not correct. So this group theology is not much different from other reform, but the way they re-baptize different. Martin Luther don't re-baptize the people, or John Calvin don't do that. But the Anabaptists re-baptize all believers. If you want to join the church, you need to re-baptize the correct way. So later on, it's going to be just Baptist. The Anabaptist will change the name to be Baptist. When you see the name Baptist, you know that this is the people who baptized by dipping into water. Baptizo is the Greek word, means that dipping into water, the whole thing. That according to the Bible, Greek Bible, when Jesus or John baptized, means that dipping whole body into the water. So this is come from the word Baptist later on, that used in all over the world. And later on, we called Anabaptist or the radical reformer, mean that they want to go all the way from the Roman church to the original church in the Bible. Mean that take away all Roman culture, all Roman tradition, all Roman statues, throw them away, burn them down, and go back to the first church in Jerusalem. Just empty room, no statue, no decoration, no nothing. Just come, pray, sing, and worship God. And this is we call them radical. In fact, they just should call them the original, authentic. Okay, more information about Anabaptist, where they start, and this is the group. Jesus is the group of the Roman Catholic, because later on the Roman Catholic found out that, well, we need to do something to survive. If we don't do something, the whole European will go and join the Protestant now. So now how we reform? Some leader in the Roman church say that, well, allow people to read Bible, allow them to do Christian tradition and Christian teaching more. Put more Christian teaching into the church. Try to make ourselves more Christian now, so people will stay with us. They don't think that they can win all the Reformation back, but at least we can stop the flow of the people who leave the church. So that the main goal of their reform. They allow certain group of people like the Jesus. The only way to save the church is do more social work and start school for the poor kid. And all the poor kids will join the church and the poor people will join the church. So that is their plan. They support all the order that going out all everywhere. Start school for the poor kid. Feed the poor people. So they will join the church and keep with the church that way. So that the way they reform their group, try to save the church and keep the people with the church as long as possible. But you don't teach them much Bible, anything, but teach them just simple knowledge, like regular school and the poor house for the poor people. So a lot of them go to all over Europe and start school, start poor house, social work, try to help save those people with the church as much as possible. Jesus is one of the successful group. And they go out everywhere to start their ministry. And it's not just one group. You will have more and more groups that the Roman Church will send out. They call them the missionary. But the missionary is not preaching the gospel. The missionary is to teach kids, poor kids, and to feed the poor people, mainly. And here there are more documents about the declaration of faith of different groups that will have more detail here. I don't want to spend time on this, but I just want to give you the information. You can read them later on about all the documents about each group, about their faith, what they believe, and they put on writing in their meeting. This is from the Church of England. About their faith, they put in writing that now this is the people who join the Church of England supposed to do what they believe and what they should do each time when they come to their worship service. And more document of different groups. I put all of them so you will have idea that what they believe, what they put out at the statement of faith. So this is more detail, and when you have time, you can read more of them. And I can tell you that most of them is similar in some way. And you compare to what is statement of faith of your church today, you might surprise that it's similar to. Because we have idea from them. And where they get the idea, most of them, the correct church will get the idea from the Bible to start with. Westminster Confession going to be a modern day English church confession. Confession means that statement of faith that they have. And you more detail that I put out for you, that you will see that what they believe about God, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, about salvation, about sin, about how to save your loved one, and what is the duty of believer, and what is the church. This is a simple statement of faith that every group will put out. Most of them similar and compatible to one another, but in some detail different. That's all. And I say that you might be surprised that, wow, it's similar to your church statement of faith, because we have the same thing, the same Bible. Okay, I will stop here and come back for your reflection. I can keep go on, but it's just about the document, and most of them are similar. Now I knock you out by the whole 1 hour, 2 hours of lecture. I read them several times in this 40, 50 years. And I told you that when I learned about them the first time, I don't understand anything. I don't remember anything. But now it's in my head. What that strike you the most out of all the confusion? When I start study about church history, Christian church history, always surprised why God allowed all these things to happen for so long. The false teaching, the false leader, why they control the church for so long. Yes, Nathan.
So Ajahn, even though right now the royal British royal still controlling the church too.
Yes.
Okay.
The head of Church of England is the king or the queen by title. But the church run by Archbishop of Canterbury. So they don't call the Pope. They still have a head, the one who really run the business day to day. But the title top of the church is the king or the queen. Queen Elizabeth used to be top of the Church of England for how long? 70 years until she died. Now King Charles III.
Ajahn, is the king and queens in England Christian?
They are the member of the Church of England. And I told you that the Church of England theology is running away from back and forth from Lutheran to Calvinism or to Zwingli or back to the Catholic throughout history, because they don't really have any problem with anyone. The reason they change the church is not because theology, but the king want to divorce his wife. So they join the bandwagon of Reformation.
Ajahn, the original Bible, do they got 100% of the word, or they lost some?
That's a good question. The Old Testament complete allow 500-600 years before Jesus' time. The Old Testament already complete by all the scholar, Jewish scholar. And they translate later on, before Jesus' time, allow 200-300 years, they translate into Greek, from Hebrew into Greek, Old Testament. Even in Jesus' time, sometimes Jesus quote that version sometimes. They call that version Septuagint. Because in Jesus' time, the people speak Aramaic. It's the mixture of Hebrew and Arabic and all the Persian language. It's not pure Hebrew anymore. So they read the Bible from the Greek version. Greek is the language of the people in Jesus' time. Even the Roman ruled the world at that time. The Latin is the language of the Roman. Nobody speak Latin until the Roman claimed themselves to be Christian. And the church fought the whole world to adopt Latin.
So, John, my question is, so who formed the Bible together? So where we found the Bible together, or in order do we have Bible, someone said it and then it's only, in order to order book by book or law by law or something, how we found that Bible?
Okay, the New Testament different. The New Testament have so many versions since the time of apostle. You see that Paul wrote a lot of letters, Peter, John, everyone. So by the time the second century, there's so many. And now the problem is which one is original, which one is copy, or which one is not the real thing. So all the scholar, all the leadership come when Constantine became Christian, is officially, they combine all together and to select what is New Testament. So they decide this way, anything that can prove that wrote by the 12 apostles past Paul, going to be New Testament. Anything that cannot prove that written by the 12 past Paul, not Bible, not New Testament. So they decide that way. So there's still a lot of books that today some group will read and put in their church, but it's not past the test. So we don't call them Bible. But a lot of them are not bad book. It's just not Bible. So what's the difference between Bible and not Bible? When we call anything Bible, it means the words of God. No doubt we obey, we believe. But anything not Bible, we can doubt, we can argue, we can debate.
Like a book or something we every day, something like that.
Yeah. I think we might have a chance to learn the history of the Bible. Mean that we could learn how the Bible come into the form that we have. The history of the Bible is a lot smaller than the history of the church. So you might end up about 300-400 pages lecture instead of 1,000 of church history. How many pages that you already got from church history now? I believe at least 500 or something already. If you print out everything, you're going to have a big pie. But it's good that you can use it for the future to be your recommend to find anything that you want reference. There are a lot of things in there.
John, you mentioned that Martin Church, he posted 95 of them. Is it 95? Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it fit all? Did it fit on the door?
The door is pages that he posted. In his time, the book is in our format of today now, not like in the Old Testament time or New Testament time that is a big long scroll. But in Martin Luther time, the book is cut into pages like what we have today, but it's bigger pages. It's like more like a poster, not the page of book that we have. The church in Europe, you might call cathedral, is a big church, and the door is several, maybe 10 or 15 feet high.
Ooh.
Now you look at the church in those days, the ceiling is so high.
Is
Is that from the people's money? Oh, I'm sorry.
No. It's okay. Go ahead, Nan.
Is that from the people's money? You know, the beautiful church that you mentioned?
The church in Europe, it depends. Some churches built by the money of the king or the very rich family. Because the Roman church say that if you can build a church, you go to heaven. So the rich family will build a church just so the whole family will go to heaven. And the poor can do some. So some churches built by the money from the poor who want to go to heaven, but it takes a long time. So most of the king will try to build a church. So make sure that the whole royal family go to heaven too.
Ajahn, that's a wrong teaching, right?
You know that in Buddhists also have the same teaching. The biggest merit you can do is to build a temple. So I say the Roman Church is not Christian. Okay, you have any other question concerning the church?
Ajahn, why is Paul's letters record as a Bible? Because they teaching about the Word of God.
Well, not because it's teaching the words of God, but because we believe that Jesus called him. You see, all 12 are called directly by Jesus, appointed by Jesus. And the rest, we know that they are maybe not exactly. And Paul get the same special treatment Jesus called him. And some believe that to replace Judas.
Okay.
So that is why we put him in the list of book in the New Testament. And you believe that Paul wrote about 1/3 of the New Testament. Without Paul writing, the Bible is going to be a lot smaller.
John, the book of Hebrew, who wrote the book of Hebrew?
The book of Hebrew, well,
Yes.
scholar always doubt that is it Paul or his student wrote that because the language, the style is so different from every letter of Paul. So some scholars believe that it's not Paul directly, but his teaching is in there, but his student wrote it. But in fact, Paul never write the Bible himself. Everyone of his letter written by his student. Most of them by Dr. Luke. And Peter too, John too, they never wrote it themselves, but their student wrote for them.
Ajahn, I very confused about the before the John Zwingli, John Calvin, and Martin Luther, and then how about that, before that time? So, did they have? If we can say that, did they save or they all go to the hell? Based on what we believe, if that's a false teaching and then everything, then I thought that everybody not got it saved.
That's why I say the real church, the real teaching is underground. The real church always there. The people who really believe the right thing always there, but underground. The church above ground teach the wrong teaching.
So whoever believes the underground church is a sin, right?
Yes. So you see the underground church always there since the AD 1 church in Jerusalem. And they always underground for 400 years until the Roman declared themselves Christian. The church underground still there. They still teach the real teaching. They cannot go above ground because the leader will kill them.
Oh, I thought that time the Romans all control. In that way, that means no way. I mean, then we can get saved.
It's like in China, communism. The underground church always there.
Oh, okay. That way, another situation. Thank you.
Welcome.
John, you said leader, do you mean Pharisees?
Well, Sadducee, Pharisee, the time of Jesus, but the leader in the time of Roman church, you can guess who are they? Or the priest, or the pope, or the cardinal in the Roman church. Now I think that we should learn something about the underground church from the beginning until today.
Ajahn, after Jesus' death, and all his disciples was meeting underground too, right?
Yes.
Hiding, not on top of the roof, but is have people that watch for them.
The real church always underground, you see, from the early beginning. Even today, a lot of churches all over the world, in China, in communist, in Islam country, all underground.
So underground, it doesn't mean that they go under the ground, but it means that they're hiding, right?
Yes, yes.
High meeting,
yes.
yeah, okay. A lot of people have misunderstood that. Say underground is they have to go under the ground, the tunnel, and worship under the tunnel.
Yeah, but in Roman, it makes sense because Christian worship in the cemetery, and Roman cemetery is underground, under the city, in that barely press catacomb. And for several hundred years, they're in that underground, really underground, literally.
You're right, Ajahn. I thought I saw some on the the church during the Jesus time in the Romans, go out and try to kill Christian, arrest Christian, and all the stuff, and they went hiding underground the tunnel too, right?
Okay. I think we're going to be done for tonight and let you go after we pray. Okay, let's pray. Loving God, we thank you for tonight. We spent a lot of time together to learn about your church, about church history, and the people who believe in you from the beginning of time until now. Help us understand them that they sacrifice so much for your kingdom, and help us that what we can do our part for your kingdom and for your church. I lift everyone up before you. Be with them, bless them, protect them, and guide them until we come back again next week. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you,
Okay.
Ajahn.
Bye
Good
bye.
night, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Enjoy your weekend. See you next week.
Okay. Good night,
Bye-bye.
guys. Good night,
Good
everybody.
night, guys.